The candle on Mama Fola's desk had burned low, its light flickering across a single card she had read 7 times already. It was beautiful, that invitation, thick cream cardstock edged in gold, the kind printed by the most expensive stationer on Awolowo Road. Ton Adeyemi and Ifeoma Choku request the honor of your presence at their engagement ceremony. Mama Fola did not smile. She sat alone in her late husband's old study, the same study Chief Babatunde Adeyemi had built 40 years ago from nothing but stubbornness, a rusting cargo ship, and a contract nobody else in Opopo wanted. His portrait still hung above the mantel, watching her the way he always had, patient, faintly amused, waiting for her to say what she was really thinking. 6 weeks, Babatunde, she said aloud, to no one but him. They met only 6 weeks ago. Ton was her only son, and since his father's death 2 years ago, she had watched him fold grief into work into distance, distance into a silence she could not reach no matter how many pots of Ifo she sent to his gate. He ran the company now, shoulders too straight, laughter too rare. And now, out of nowhere, there was Ifeoma. Radiant. Magnetic. Always photographed at exactly the right angle at exactly the right function. Mama Fola had met her twice, once at a fundraising gala at Iko Hotel, once at a family lunch that had felt, somehow, like an audition. Both times, Ifeoma had been flawless. That was the problem. Nobody was flawless. Not for long. Not in this Lagos. She rose and crossed to the window overlooking the compound's small garden, hibiscus gone quiet in the harmattan dust, gecko still on the fence. She thought of something her own mother used to say, back before any of this money existed, back when young Folesaid had swept another woman's veranda in Mushin to save enough for transport fare out of that life. You will know everything about a person, my daughter, by watching how she treats someone who can do nothing for her. Ton could not see Ifeoma clearly. He was too grateful for the warmth after so much grief. But the house help, the stewards, the drivers, the young girls who cleaned and cooked and disappeared into the corners of Grand Palace, they saw everything. Nobody with power ever truly looked at the ones without it. But the ones without power, they missed nothing. Mama Fola pressed her palm flat against the cool window glass. A plan began forming in her mind, quiet and precise, the kind she used to make before wealth had made everything easier, and in some ways, blinder. She would not confront Ton, he would defend Ifeoma the way any grieving son defends the one bright thing left in his life. She would not send private detectives sniffing around, money left footprints, and money could be smiled away. If she wanted the truth, she would have to become someone the truth could not hide from. She would have to become invisible. She lifted the landline and dialed a number she had not used in months. Baba wrote to me, she said quietly when he answered, I need you to come to the house tonight. And I need you to come with an open mind. There was a pause on the line, the kind that told her he already sensed this was no ordinary request. If Ifeoma has nothing to hide, Mama Fola murmured, mostly to the portrait still watching from above the mantel, then an extra pair of eyes in that Banana Island house would trouble her not at all. She set the phone down. Across the lagoon, in a penthouse dressed in white orchids flown in from Amsterdam, Ifeoma Choku admired her own reflection and made a phone call of her own, one she would never have made had she known who was about to walk through her fiancé's gate. Baba Rotuma arrived past 11, his agbada still smelling faintly of the night's dust, and found Mama Fola seated where she always sat when something weighed heavy, the cushioned bench by the veranda door, the one facing the driveway her husband used to walk up after long trips to the ports. You did not say what this concerns, he said, lowering himself carefully into the chair opposite her. Sit well, Baba. This one is not a small matter. She told him plainly, no embellishment. She wanted to become a maid inside her son's Banana Island mansion, a new hire, someone beneath notice, to watch Ifeoma Choku when nobody of consequence was looking. Baba Rotumai's face did not move for a long moment. Then, madam, with respect, you are a woman who has not so much as swept her own compound since the Babangida years. I know how to bend my back and scrub a floor, Baba Rotemai. I was doing it long before Chief Adeyemi ever set eyes on me at that trade fair in Onitsha. That was many years ago, Ma. The body forgets less kindly than the mind admits, she said, with a small, dry smile, but the mind forgets nothing at all. He rose, paced once across the veranda tiles, twice. He thought of every risk, her age, her dignity, the sheer madness of a woman of her standing scrubbing another family's floor in her own son's house. He thought too of Tond, how thin the boy had looked at the last board meeting, how quickly Ifeoma had filled the space his father's death had carved out. If Oga Tond discovers this, Baba Rotemai said slowly, he may never forgive either of us. If Ifeoma is who I fear she is, Mama Fola answered, he will thank us both before this year finishes. Baba Rotemai exhaled the long, resigned exhale of a man who had worked for this family 30 years and already knew the argument was lost. I can arrange it through the agency on Awolowo Road, he said finally. New hire, no connection on paper. You will need another name. Different documents. And madam, he hesitated, once you pass through that boys' quarters gate, you are no longer Mama Fola. Not to one single soul in that house. I understand, Baba. I do not think you understand yet. He looked at her the way he had looked at her the day they buried Chief Adeyemi, when she had refused a chair through the entire service. Once this thing begins, madam, you cannot simply drop it like hot coal. Mama Fola held his gaze without flinching. Then let us begin. The transformation took 3 days, and Mama Fola approached it with the same discipline she once brought to closing shipping contracts worth more than most people's inheritance. The jewelry came off fast, coral beads, gold earrings, the thin wedding band last of all, pressed to her lips before it was locked inside the small safe behind her husband's portrait. Her also oak girlie went into storage. Her hairdresser of 20 years, sworn to silence with an agreement even her own lawyer had drafted, relaxed the silver grey into a plain low cut and dyed it a dull, unremarkable brown. Baba Rotemai had chosen the new name carefully, common, forgettable, the kind that raised no eyebrows on any agency form, Ketchi. No surname anyone would ask twice about. The clothes were harder. Mama Fola stood before her mirror in a faded Ankara wrapper 2 sizes too plain, worn slippers, a simple headscarf, and felt something strange settle over her, not quite grief, not quite relief. A kind of returning. She practiced for hours. A softer voice, stripped of the crisp command Lagos society had trained into her. A slight bow of the shoulders. Eyes that did not meet another person's gaze too directly, because household staff learned early that meeting the wrong eyes too boldly could cost the position. She practiced carrying a tray without the small, elegant flourish 4 decades of hosting governors and senators had built into her wrist. Nkechi, she said to the mirror, testing the sound of it. My name is Ketchi. The woman in the mirror said it back, and for one disorienting second.
Oh my goodness, Bessie. Do you like it?
Instead, she felt the ghost of her 19-year-old self, standing at Oshodi Motor Park with one raffia bag, believing, the way only the very young or the very determined believe, that she could become anyone she needed to become in order to survive. The mansion looked different from the back. Mama Fola had entered her son's Banana Island estate through the grand front gates 100 times, waved through by security who called her Ma with reverence, ushered up marble steps into rooms cooled by silent air conditioning and fresh bouquets flown in weekly. She had never once, in the 2 years since Ton built the place, entered through the small service gate tucked behind the generator house, half hidden by an overgrown croton hedge. Now she stood before it in worn slippers and a plain wrapper, a small raffia bag in hand, waiting like anyone else to be let in. A sharp-faced housekeeper named Madam Comfort looked her up and down. Nkechi, ABI. You are late, oh. Sorry, Ma. The third mainland bridge. Ihen, save that one. Come, kitchen is this way. You go start with cleaning and serving, before anybody allow you touch anything the family self go see. Mama Fola, Nkechi, followed her down a corridor she had never known existed, past the laundry room, past the store-stacked floor to ceiling with rice and provisions, into a kitchen humming with the quiet, efficient chaos of a household running on other people's labor. Nobody looked at her twice. That was the strangest part. In her own life, a room noticed the moment Mama Fola entered it. Here, she was furniture. She caught her first glimpse of Ifeoma through the kitchen swinging door, a flash of gold lace, braids swept high, gliding through the hallway with the unhurried confidence of a woman who had never once worried about being judged. Ifeoma did not glance toward the kitchen. Why would she? The kitchen was not where anyone who mattered lived. Mama Fola's stomach tightened. 2 years, and this was the closest she had truly ever seen the woman marrying her son. Table things, Madam Comfort said, pushing a stack of linen into her arms. Dining, quick, quick. Mama Fola carried the linen down the hall, past the wall of family photographs she recognized, her own face missing from the newest frames, replaced everywhere by Ifeoma's glowing smile beside Ton's, and into the dining room, where she began, hands trembling slightly, to set a table in her son's house as a stranger. She had barely finished the first setting when she heard his voice. Baba Rotumai mentioned we had someone new starting today. Mama Fola froze, napkin still in hand, and turned to find Ton standing in the doorway, taller than she remembered, thinner in the face, wearing the same crooked half-smile his father used to wear. Her son stood 3 feet from her, and he had no idea who he was looking at. Ketchi, right? Ton said, glancing at a clipboard. Baba Rotumai's note says you come highly recommended. Yes, Oga, Mama Fola said, and the word nearly caught in her throat. She had carried this boy on her back through Lagos traffic and boardroom hallways alike. Now she called him Oga and watched his eyes pass over her without one flicker of recognition. Welcome to the house. I know it can be a lot at first. He said it kindly, the way he had always been kind, even as a small boy sneaking his lunch money to the gateman's son. That kindness was still in him, buried under 2 years of grief and the weight of an empire. Thank you, Oga. He lingered a moment, and for a wild, hopeful second Mama Fola thought, he sees me, he knows, but he only said, you will like it here, I think.
You will like it here, I think. Ifeoma runs a tight house, but she is fair.
I am sure she is, Oga.
I am sure she is, Oga. Ton's expression softened at the mention of Ifeoma's name, the way a man's face softens when he speaks of the one who saved him from drowning. He mentioned, almost to himself, that his father had passed 2 years ago, that the house had felt too quiet before Ifeoma, that he was grateful, genuinely, achingly grateful, for the warmth she had brought back into it. Mama Fola's chest ached listening to him. She wanted, more than anything, to reach out and smooth the collar of his shirt the way she had 1,000 times when he was a boy heading to school. Instead she folded another napkin and said nothing. Ton. Ifeoma's voice cut through the room like a cutlass wrapped in silk. She stood in the doorway, arms folded, eyes flicking between her fiancé and the new maid with unmistakable displeasure. Stop gisting with the help. Ketra is coming in 20 minutes. It was said lightly, almost playfully, but Mama Fola caught the flash beneath it. One cold second where the mask slipped, where something sharp and proprietary showed through the silk. Ton laughed it off, apologized to Ketchi, and followed Ifeoma out without a backward glance. Mama Fola stood alone at the table, hands still on the linen, and thought, there. That is the first crack. It would not be the last. Guests began arriving at 7 for what Mama Fola understood, from kitchen chatter, to be a small pre-wedding gathering, old friends of Ifeoma's, a scattering of Ton's business partners, the kind of evening bill to be photographed and posted before midnight. She laid the long dining table with the same precision she had once used hosting oil magnates and state governors in this very family, though under a different roof and a different name entirely. Ifeoma swept in wearing emerald lace, guests trailing behind her like courtiers, and stopped at the head of the table.
This is wrong!
Mess.
Look at this mess! This is completely unacceptable! Can you believe this?
She knew it was flawless. The folks are on the wrong side, Ifeoma said, though they were not. Redo everything. Mama Fola said nothing, only nodded, and began resetting exactly as before. Ifeoma watched with arms crossed, a faint, satisfied smile at her lips, not because the table needed correcting, Mama Fola realized with sudden clarity, but because correcting it publicly, in front of guests, was entirely the point. Again, Ifeoma said, once she had finished. Still not right. A ripple of awkward laughter moved through the gathering guests. A woman murmured something about these new house girls behind a raised glass. Mama Fola felt heat rise in her face, not embarrassment, but something older and sharper. She thought of every kitchen she had worked in as a girl, every madam who had found cruelty entertaining, swallowed the memory whole, and reset the table a third time. Ifeoma finally waved a dismissive hand. Fine. Go. As Mama Fola gathered the extra linen and retreated, she allowed herself one glance back. Ifeoma had already turned to greet a new guest.
Pleasure to have you here. Thank you. I am so delighted to be here. Please feel welcome.
But before she turned, Mama Fola caught something else, Ifeoma's eyes darting, quick and anxious, to the phone clutched in her hand. A glance repeated 3 times in 2 minutes, checking a screen with no new messages, waiting, Mama Fola was now certain, for something, or someone. Whatever Ifeoma Choku was hiding, it was close. The kitchen was a small mercy after the dining room, no watching eyes, no practiced cruelty, only clattering pots and the low murmur of tired staff finishing a long night. A young woman, no older than 20, sat hunched on an upturned crate near the pantry, peeling a mountain of yam with hands that moved fast but shook slightly. She looked up and offered a small, tired smile.
The morning not too soft, eh?
No, Mama.
Nkechi, Mama Fola said, sitting beside her, grateful for the ache in her knees to finally rest. Amora handed her a knife without being asked, and the two walked in companionable silence, the kind Mama Fola had not known in decades, unhurried, unwatched, simply 2 tired women doing tired work. You know be from here, Amora said eventually. The way you dey talk. You sound like somebody we don't do better thing before. Mama Fola kept her eyes on the yam. Long story. Everybody we dey this house get long story, Amora said, with the weary wisdom of someone far older than her years. My own simple. Small brother and sister for village. Somebody must send money. Mama Fola's heart pulled toward the girl instantly, the same tug she had once felt toward Tond as a boy, protectiveness she thought she had used up entirely on her own children.
How long have you worked here?
I have worked here for 8 months, Mama.
Her expression flickered, briefly, toward the doorway Ifeoma had swept through earlier. Her voice dropped. Don't get close to Madam Ifeoma. Why not? Amora hesitated, glancing toward the door as though checking they were alone. She get the last girl sacked for nothing. Wrong. Sweet girl, hardworking, I never see her do anything wrong. One day she just gone. No warning. No goodbye. Amora shook her head, returning to her work with sudden intensity, as if the memory itself was dangerous to hold too long. I no want talk about him again. Mama Fola pressed gently. What happened to Ronk? But Amora only shook her head again, lips pressed tight, and said nothing more. Mama Fola let the silence sit, filing the name away, Ronk, alongside the anxious phone glances, the flash of cold beneath the lace. Small pieces. Not enough yet to see the whole shape of what she feared, but enough to know she was right to be here. Over the following days, Mama Fola settled into the rhythm of the house the way water settles into whatever contains it, quietly, completely, without complaint. She learned the mansion's true geography, which hallways the family used, which the staff were meant to vanish from the moment footsteps approached, which staff Ifeoma trusted and which she merely tolerated, the practiced brightness Ifeoma switched on the instant Ton entered the room, and the flatness that replaced it the moment he left. And she watched over Amara. It was not difficult. The girl worked twice as hard as anyone. Terrified, Mama Fola came to understand of losing this position and the money it sent home. When a porcelain vase shattered in the east corridor during rushed party preparations, chipped by a gardener's careless elbow, Amara froze in horror, certain the blame would land on her.
I will say I broke it. You cannot. She will say nothing to me she has not already said. Go, let me handle this. No, Mama.
When Ifeoma swept through minutes later demanding to know who broke the vase, Mama Fola stepped forward and took the blame without flinching. Ifeoma delivered a sharp, cutting reprimand meant to humiliate rather than correct, and Mama Fola absorbed it in silence, feeling, strangely, not diminished but proud. It was the first time in years she had protected someone with nothing but her own dignity as currency. That evening, she found Amara again in the kitchen, and they fell into the same easy rhythm, Mama Fola peeling vegetables, listening more than speaking, letting the girl talk of her siblings, her small dream of nursing school in Enugu. It was Ifeoma who interrupted them. She appeared in the doorway without warning, eyes narrowing at the sight of two women sitting close, heads bent together, laughing softly. "What is so funny?" Ifeoma asked, voice deceptively light. Both women straightened instantly, warmth vanishing like breath on cold harmattan air. Ifeoma's gaze lingered on Mama Fola a bit too long. "And what is your friend's name again?" "Nkechi, Ma," Mama Fola said, eyes lowered, heart hammering beneath the comb. "Ketchi." Ifeoma repeated it slowly, tasting the name, testing it for something hidden beneath its plainness. "I will remember that one." She left without another word. The chill lingered long after she was gone. It was well past midnight when Mama Fola, unable to sleep in the narrow boys' quarters room, slipped down toward the kitchen for water and found the house unexpectedly, eerily alive. A sliver of light spilled from beneath the door of Ton's private study, a room even Mama Fola, in her old life, rarely entered, respecting it as her son's one truly private space, where he kept his father's old shipping ledgers and correspondence. She should have walked past. Every instinct told her to walk past. Instead she slowed. Ifeoma's voice drifted faintly through the door, not the bright, performative tone she used in company, but something lower, clipped, businesslike. Mama Fola crept closer, heart hammering, and pressed herself against the wall beside the doorframe. "I told you, it must happen before the wedding, not after," Ifeoma was saying, voice taut with barely restrained impatience. The pause. "No. He cannot know. Not until it is already done." Mama Fola's breath caught in her throat. "You worry too much," Ifeoma continued. "I have done this before. I know exactly how far to push and when to stop. I have done this before." The words landed like cold water down Mama Fola's spine. There was the rustle of many papers, shuffled with quick, practiced efficiency. A drawer opened and shut.
Yes,
Then, abruptly, footsteps approaching the door. Mama Fola ducked into a nearby alcove just as the study door opened and Ifeoma stepped out, phone still pressed to her ear, murmuring a final clipped instruction before ending the call. Ifeoma paused in the hallway, glancing in both directions as though sensing she was not entirely alone. Mama Fola held her breath, pressed flat against the shadowed wall, until Ifeoma's footsteps finally faded up the staircase. Only then did she breathe again, and look, with dawning dread, toward the study door left slightly ajar behind her.